I heard a fair maid lamenting, and the tears from her eyes fell off. You must go and seek for your own true love in the hills of sweet Meow. You forget about your evil by
Last year, the UN advisory group on evictions looked around Dale Farm, saw what was happening, and that of course has taken some time to go through the UN system, but has come out the other end this week with a very strong statement from the people who are concerned about housing, that's Habitat, UN Habitat, and they are now saying to the UK government, we want you to see that negotiations continue with the Dale Farm families, the 96 families as they say, and that those negotiations should end in adequate and appropriate accommodation being offered to the families who face eviction at the moment here.
Right, well don't you think the council are going to say they've already done that?
They're going to say we've offered bricks and mortar, we've offered flats, we've offered something like, I think they claim over 30 families have been offered council flats. But of course, being travellers, they're saying, hold on a minute, we don't want to move into bricks and mortar, it's not our way of life. We have extended families, we're a community and we want to stay that way. And many of the older people say, well, we need our carers with us, we need members of our family with us.
Before these towing caravans came out, we'd all horse-drawn wagons, and we were brought up inside and in. So it's our tradition of life, you know what I mean? There was 8 of us brought up in 2 horse-drawn wagons.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
And we got through life that way. And that
were they wagons that were handed down to you by your
No. We
fathers?
used to have them built.
You had them built?
Yeah, all horse-drawn wagons. We had them built. Going back, what? 45, 50 years ago. I was a little youngster.
Yeah.
They used to call Bill Wright wagons. They used to have Bill Wright used to build them for gypsies.
Mm-hmm.
And
was that in England or in Ireland?
There was England and Ireland. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm in England since I was 5 years old.
Right.
Travelling, you know what I mean?
Right.
In the old horse-drawn wagons, we go, what, 10, 15 miles of a shift. 20 miles at the most, over the horses, you know what I mean? They had to pull in and rest, you know what I mean? Mm. And that were the good days, you know what I mean? It's freedom, you know what I mean? But
so in those days, were you able to pull up on some land and people wouldn't hassle you, and then because they'd know you'd move on, or? Well,
in them days we used to pull in. At that time there wasn't much cars or traffic. You know what I mean? It was nearly everybody had horses and horses. Even the farmers had. We used to pull in wide bits of road.
Right.
You know, in the grass parts.
Right.
We used to pull in there, and there wasn't much laybys. But any wide part of a road, we could get the old horse-drawn wagons in,
right.
and little bits of patios, you know what I mean, grass places. We used to get the horse, and we'd stay there for weeks at a time.
So we can't accept your flats. So next February we have a test case in the High Court with Mary Flynn, and she is recently widowed, she has a number of medical problems, and she is saying, I need my daughter with me, I can't move into a flat, and I want the court to rule that Basden Council owes me a piece of land instead of the flat, that I would have to go with my caravan onto a secure place. And we hope that case is won, because it's not just her test case, but already there are another 7 similar cases coming on behind that. So that could be a way through. But unfortunately, because it's only next February, so we still face a crisis at the moment with the possibility of an eviction in September.
So basically you're saying the government and the council, as it were, the people that are involved with human rights in this country, don't see the fact that this culture of people, of travellers, have been living this way for hundreds of years, and for them to be suddenly put into a room with a council estate would be extremely detrimental to their mental health, let alone any other thing.
That is right. They've never recognised that travellers have a separate way of life which travellers are entitled to, and they would rather just say, well, if you don't want our flats, you don't want our houses, you'll have to leave the district. Right. We're saying, look, there are 50 children born in Basildon Hospital. How can they be more belonging to Basildon than anybody else who lives in Basildon? They are Basildon people, born and bred here, gone to the primary school, gone through primary school, and now face being thrown out of the district. And of course, the people at Dow Farm feel this is ethnic cleansing. What else is it?
We've travelled all our life. My forefathers travelled. His forefathers travelled. But at that time, you didn't need much education. When I was young, you didn't need a lot of education. But as time go along, the children needs education now. So we need a place to stay in our own tradition. And the council's trying to take that tradition off us. And we don't want to give that tradition up. We need to be left alone, send our kids to school.
We're doing our very best to protect the children's rights to continue at the school, but if they were all taken out, that would be the shutting down of that school, which has been doing a tremendous effort with assistance and so on to help the children. They're doing very well there.
Thank you.
Don't want that to stop.
You want a straw?
Yeah.